Welcome to the Supportive Ambition, where we celebrate creativity, ambition, and the journey of bringing big ideas to life. I'm your host, Danny, and each week I'll introduce you to inspiring voices from all walks of life. Artists, innovators, and dreamers who are pushing boundaries and redefining what's possible. This podcast is about the power of support, shared stories, and the belief that we're all stronger when we lift each other up. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Supportive Ambition. We're thrilled to have Rosa Falu, an emerging multi-award-winning screenwriter whose work has garnered international recognition at film festivals, and Rosa's passion for animation, especially for children's and family-friendly storytelling, reflects her deep-rooted love for humanity, culture, and inclusion. As a proud Puerto Rican, Afro-Latina, and first-generation American, her unique perspective is shaped by a diverse upbringing as an Army brat and enriched by extensive travel. With an impressive academic background that includes an MFA candidacy in creative writing at Spalding University, an MA in screenwriting from the New York Film Academy, and a BA in theater and communications from Temple University, Rosa continuously refines her craft through cultural and media studies. Today, we'll dive into her creative journey, explore how her multicultural experiences inform her work, and learn about her vision for a more inclusive future in animation and storytelling. Rosa, welcome to the Supportive Ambition.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is fantastic to learn about your journey, to speak with you, not just for what shaped you into who the storyteller you are now, but just to, maybe learn about a little bit about the vision of what you have coming down the line. But it all starts somewhere. So let's start with your background influence. And can you share how growing up as like an Army brat and being, bringing the first generation in your family born here in the U.S., how that shaped your worldwide and creative voice?
Yes, well, that definitely, my parents being the first ones off the island, and my dad serving in the U.S. Army, 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, and then being stationed in Germany for most of my youth until about 12 years old. We lived all over Germany. And one thing about growing up in the military family in another country is that you travel a lot, not only with your family, but school trips are always taking you and immersing you in culture. Back then, I don't know how it is now, but I'm not a spring chicken. So, so it's been over 40 years that I was growing up in Germany. And so I visited all of the countries surrounding France and Spain and Italy and all, Switzerland and Belgium, all those places. So I was steeped in culture. But of Europe. But one thing, I had a teacher in 5th grade, Mr. Schmidt. I will never forget him. He would take our whole 5th grade class once a month to some type of entertainment arts event.
Oh, okay.
So imagine back then you had 25 to 30 5th graders, and we'd get dressed up and we'd go to the theater, the opera, the ballet, the symphony.
Wow.
Once a month, the entire year.
That's amazing.
And that was what opened my eyes to the world of arts, that I just fell in love watching the artists do their craft and just the magic.
Yeah.
And that magic led me to, in high school, joining the theater club and forensics. I did dramatic interpretation and poetic interpretation and all of that. And I just loved anything that had to do with the arts. I also played an instrument. I was a flautist, and I just continued to just love the arts my whole life. My parents were not into the arts or anything like that. So thankfully, for him, for that, I had him as a teacher that just changed my life and focused that trajectory into the field. And then when I went to college, I took courses. I was actually pre-law,
Oh,
and
wow.
I took courses in theater because my father said, I am not paying for you to go to school to play around, and they didn't go to college. Well, my dad went to a 2 year, he got a 2 year degree, but no one had gone to a 4 year degree in my family, the extension of our family that was in the United States.
Okay.
So I was the one that was supposed to go to law school and I was supposed to do this and
Oh,
that.
okay.
But
Okay.
what happened? I started taking more courses in theater than
Okay.
the courses in the law courses. I would drop a political science course and take another theater class in its
Gotcha.
place. And I was like, when my father finds out about this, I am sunk. So I started applying for schools. I had an instructor, Bob Penny, may he rest in peace, who was the original voice to some of the car commercials that were out back in the 90s. And he said, Rosa, you are growing, because at that point my dad had finished his career in Colorado Springs from the military, retired
Okay.
from the
Hmm.
military. And he said, Rosa, you are a big fish in a very small pond here. He said, you need to reach further. He goes, go to the East Coast. He goes, go
Yeah.
to school there, get what go to a big pond where you have to figure things out and where you learn and you're stretched. And I was like, are you kidding me? I can't do that. He's like, you can do that. I ended up getting offered scholarships from many different schools and very well-known schools.
Hmm.
And I ended up choosing Temple University for my undergraduate, for my Bachelor of Arts in Theater and Communications,
Very
with
cool.
an emphasis on acting. Now, I decided on that school because um, I had a crush on this boy, and he was from
Tale as old as
Philadelphia.
time, right?
He was from Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I was like, maybe I can get close enough. Well, I didn't really care about him once I got to school in Philadelphia. I was like, whatever, I love it here. And I wanted a Bachelor of Arts because at that time, what I found out was if you received a Bachelor of Fine Arts of some of the art schools, then you could only get your Master of Fine Arts in the same field. And I
Oh,
was like, but what if I don't want to
what if
do it? What if I
exactly?
find
Yeah.
something else to do? So 20 years, fast forward 20 years later, I finished my Bachelor of Arts. I mean, because I went off the rails and was working, with
Hey,
community projects using theater as a medium, and I did improv and I did different things in the world one semester before graduating.
oh no.
So I walked that was the last year Temple University let you walk, even though you didn't have enough points to walk.
Hmm.
So my parents thought I had graduated and I had not graduated. Um, 20 years later, 2016, I got my Bachelor of Arts from Temple University. They went back. I ended up having to take some courses that I didn't want to take. But I was able, life experience, they gave me life experience credits for the other few, and I
Okay.
was able to graduate and I received my degree. And it's hanging on my wall right here to remind me that you can always go back and finish something that you
That's a
really need
great
to finish.
lesson.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, it's time to come clean and just finish. And I got two copies of my degrees and gave one to my parents.
Nice.
So they were just as happy. I mean, they didn't because they didn't know what had happened. But then when they got the degree and they saw it and they have it in their home, they're like, yay, the first one to graduate.
This is the one
So
that got lost in the mail. Here you go.
the one that got lost in the mail for 20 years. So then, so then, at that point, my sister, my baby sister, who is the only one who has had multiple children, told me that she and her husband were expecting, her youngest was 14, and that she and her husband were expecting. And all of a sudden, I got really nervous because I said, what is he gonna see or she gonna see? Are they gonna see themselves represented? Because it was 2016 and you really weren't seeing representation and all of that. And I was watching a lot of movies. I had gone through some trauma and I was using movies to kind of numb myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to take an online screenwriting course from New York Film Academy.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And it was a year-long course.
Okay.
And I received a scholarship for that through an organization. And I took that course and fell in absolute love. I
Nice.
was like, this is it. I need to write. This is what I need to do. So my very first, the project that I worked on in that class, the first feature that I wrote, I submitted that to Oaxaca Film Fest.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Oaxaca Film Fest is
Yeah.
like the Sundance of, the Sundance of Latin America.
America.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
big. It's big. And I finished that course. I entered it there, and I just moved on. I ended up getting a scholarship, a full scholarship to New York Film Academy for my master's in screenwriting, Master of Arts. And I was like, cool. So I went to California and I started, it was a 7-month intensive
Wow.
for a Master of Arts. I had to write not only a feature script to be able to go before the board, but also 100-page dissertation.
Wow.
And it was a hard 7 months. We had
Yeah.
6 week. It was very, very intensive. I was the only woman.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yes, there were
That's
4 of us that were selected for it. And 3 of us were Latino, and one was from Korea, South Korea. I was the elder of the class in my mid 40s. I was the only woman. And it was amazing. It
yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of hard work, a lot of nights crying and calling my husband, crying. I can't do this. I just need to go home. He goes, no, you're going to do it. You're already there. You can do this. And I was like, I want to go home. But I did it. I graduated top of my class.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
a 3.89,
There you go.
which I was really proud of.
Yeah.
And just from there, I started volunteering for different film festivals just to watch more films and
Mm-hmm.
get to
Mm-hmm.
know, the process of seeing from script to screen, what the
Yeah.
processes were, and diversity at Cannes and the Crown Awards and Slam Dance and several others that I worked on for years and have been on their screening committee for several years.
Very
And
cool.
through that, I made other connections. I connected with Afro Animation, and I became their very first director of awards for short films.
Okay.
And so I was with them for 4 years. And then Black in animated, women in animation, Latinos in animation is the one that they're relaunching this year. So I'll be joining them as
Oh,
well.
nice. Nice.
From there, speaking engagements, panels that Chicano Hollywood gave me my first panel for film, but I was speaking with Alpha.
Okay.
They're a leadership organization for Latinos. And so speaking engagements, speaking on panels, and just writing when I could, because then all of a sudden I got super busy to write. So I was
I
writing
was
little
say,
bits here and there and my ideas and things, but sitting down and writing. But then I started taking courses again because I love to learn. And I was like, you know what? Taking a course is going to give me the accountability that I need
yeah.
because, COVID had happened and, that just kind of slowed things down. And I had moved and life was lifing. So,
Yeah. Life was
so
life, and I
I,
like that.
yeah, yeah. So I decided to take more courses and some courses out of England and some courses out of LA and, just online stuff and trying to create a community where I could write and have accountability. But I did find that the only thing that made me have accountability was the courses that I was paying for.
Well, you're investing in yourself, right? So
Yes.
there you go.
Yes. So I was like, okay. And then through those speaking engagements and invitations to speak as
Hmm.
well. I'm a visiting lecturer at UC Berkeley in a course that deals with education and entertainment and ethnic studies and turning oral histories into screenplays. So I do that.
Okay.
This is semester is my first semester doing that, which is amazing, and getting to know these students that are, you know, very aware of what's happening politically and very aware of
Hmm.
what's happening in the world of entertainment, and knowing that oral histories, we need to do what we can to go ahead and record those now because our elders are leaving us.
Yeah.
And once they're gone, those stories aren't going to be told.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing now. And then I woke up on years ago, I had made a comment to my husband. I said, it would be cool to have my own production company at some point. And he goes, all right. He goes, then start with getting an email address. He's like, what's the name of your production company? And I said, oh, well, Resilient Life Films, because I've had to be resilient
I
and
like it.
reinvent myself several times.
It's cool.
He said, all right. So I created the email address back in 2017.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, my goodness, that is such a perfect name of a production company, a film company for someone who's, like you said, had to reinvent themselves and had to be that resilient person. Um, well, with that, with resilient life, or just in your writing in general, how do you integrate your themes of acceptance, inclusion, and multiculturalism into your projects?
Well, because that's who I am, because of how I grew up,
Hmm.
it's a really natural to
Okay.
see different cultures and different people come together. We used to have get-togethers. We're Puerto Rican, so we had almost every weekend we had something at our house or we were at somebody else's house and we're eating food and music and dancing and dominoes and all those things. But growing up, it was like the United Nations in our house because
Very
we
cool.
had
Okay.
everyone. There were, a lot of military soldiers were married to women from Germany or Italy or Spain or Korea or Japan and things like that. So my classrooms were always multicultural,
Right. Right.
multicultural. And then our neighborhood was multicultural, and
Hmm.
our get-togethers were multicultural. So to me, when I came back to the United States after growing up for almost 12 years in Germany, it was really odd and a culture shock to see that that's not the way that it was
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It was
Hmm.
like, what's happening, and then I became very aware that Latinos, mostly, especially in Colorado, it was mostly a Mexican American community,
Okay.
didn't know that you could be Black and Latino. So it was like, and then I had to choose
Oh
once I
man.
found groups of
Hmm.
who I was going to have to be. So with the Black children, I had to be Black. With the Latino children, I had to be totally Latino. I wasn't, there was no middle ground in both. I couldn't be both.
Hmm.
So when I write, I write from a place of my truth. And my truth is that I am Afro Latina. I am grown up in the United States, grown up in Germany. I have all of these experiences. So I include that in the way that I write
That's
so
awesome.
that I can step into any role that I write. Unless I specifically say this color or this culture, I define it, anybody can step into the role and anybody can be represented in their truth of who they are.
That's fantastic. It really is. I mean, I grew up in San Diego, so it was a real, where I went to school, it was a real melting pot. We had all different cultures. So when I moved out from there and I got to see that it was really, I don't want to say segregated, but it was like, these communities here were just this was here. And it wasn't that mix that I was used to. So it was really odd dynamic. And and so I understand what you mean about that. And growing up bicultural, but as well, I understood about having to choose one. And I heard somewhere someone told me once that you're not half Mexican, you're not half Jewish, you're Mexican and you're Jewish. And I was like, that really makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm.
So hearing that you're writing for these roles for people that they can just be themselves in is just fantastic. It really is.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you said you were a guest speaker, guest lecturer in many different areas. What sort of advice would you offer to emerging screenwriters and creatives who come from diverse backgrounds like yourself?
Write your truth.
Okay.
Write who you are. Write from your place of truth. Don't look at what Hollywood is doing or anybody else is doing.
Mm.
Create from, I mean, one of the first things you learn in screenwriting courses is write what you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you know is yourself.
That's true.
So write from yourself, because people can't find holes in that, because it's who you are. It's like you can't deny, it's undeniable. So yeah, write your heart, write who you are, and it doesn't matter how old you are when you start. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be bold enough to say I'm glad that I started writing older in my life, because I've been through some things.
Yeah,
I have some life experiences. I have some things that I've seen, some battles that I've had to go through and that I've had to overcome in order to be able to give a type of depth to characters that would not be given if I hadn't seen, experienced, heard, observed all those wonderful things that writers do in order to develop.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that completely. Well, you mentioned Resilient Life, but beyond that, what other aspirations for your career and impact do you hope to make on the industry with your work?
I just acted in my first film
Oh,
back in
nice.
December,
Okay.
and I hadn't acted in over 30 years.
I know that feeling.
And so I'm going to out you right now, too. So I got the bug. Like, it was my first time on set as an actor. I had only been on one other movie set and that was for Rob Alicea's movie that he's Serena, that he's in post
Yeah.
for right now. And I had a blast on set helping out. I was just a PA, and then I was asked to do some background, and I was like, this is fun. But I actually did that because I had to act in a movie just a week later.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, I
Okay.
haven't been on set. I need to see what's happening, because I usually work with animation. So I'm never in a studio. I never do anything like that. I'm just writing. And oh my goodness. So being on set was incredible. And it was so much fun. And I was so appreciative. And I was like so grateful that I didn't pursue acting when I was young, because if you had to struggle, to make ends meet and all that kind of stuff, it wouldn't have been as fun as right now, that I just get to do it for fun and enjoy it and enjoy the
I see what
process.
you're
And
saying. Yeah.
it's awesome. So I hope to do some more acting, and definitely you and I are going to be doing some acting together, for the first film for Resilient Life Productions and Whip Off Films in just about a week and a half. So excited.
That is wonderful. And I'm excited as well. That 30-year gap you mentioned, I'm right there with you, because it's been probably that long. I think we both came from a stage background, so it's going to be a challenge. And I'll say for myself, just to reel in that energy you need on stage for the camera.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. Rosa, thank you so much for joining us here on the Supportive Ambition. We look forward to hearing more about Resilient Life and celebrating the productions that you will embark upon going forward. And we can't wait to see what you have to offer the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you.